So you look at the imposing home run hitters of the 70s and 80s into the 90s. We talk about Andre Dawson, Dave Kingman, Canseco, someone who had a big physical presence, but also very talented in the field. And overall, like Bautista could get, 40 home runs and 120 RBIs at times if everything worked together. This guy was the successor to the Dave Kingman era in San Francisco, and with the Giants and later on with different teams, became so popular. And not to say a semi superstar, he wasn't a superstar, but everybody knew his name when I was covering baseball as a young journalist back in the day for the National League as part of my Montreal Expos coverage. Every time he came to Montreal, there was going to be some interesting swings at the plate. So today we're talking with the man we call Jack the Ripper. He sounds like a chocolate bar gone bad, Jack Clark. Now, Jack Anthony Clark, the native of New Brighton, Pennsylvania, beautiful community, by the way. I have some friends in New Brighton. Is an American former pro baseball right fielder and first baseman. He played in MLB for the Giants, Cardinals, Yankees, Padres, and the Boston Red Sox from 75 to 92. During his prime, he's one of the most feared right-handed hitters in the National League history, winning the Silver Slugger Award in 85 and 87. A four-time All-Star in his 18-season career, he was a .267 hitter with 340 home runs and 1,180 runs batted in 1,994 games. He also scored 1,128 runs, 332 doubles, 77 stolen bases, 1,262 bases on balls, and 826 hits, and 6,847 at-bats. He batted and threw right-handed. Now, he began his minor league baseball career in '73 with the Great Falls Giants, where he played the outfield and third base, and also was a pitcher, getting a 0-2 record in 5 games. He led the league with 117 RBIs with Fresno. The following year, he led the association with 23 homers with Lafayette. He started his major league career with the Giants in '75 as a right fielder and the youngest player in the league in '75 at age 19. His 26-game hitting streak in '78 is the longest by a Giants player after 1900. He won the first Willie Mack Award in '80 for his spirit and leadership. On the other hand, Clark frequently complained about the cold and windy and dangerous conditions at Candlestick, the Giants' home park. He had a rift with manager Frank Robinson, and some members of the Giants' front office thought Clark took too long to recover from injuries. He was always in the news in that era. Now, get this. On February 1st, '85, Clark was traded to St. Louis Cardinals for shortstop Jose Uribe, pitcher Dave LaPointe, no E, of course, not my LaPointe family, and first baseman outfielders David Green and Gary Roshish. He switched to first base to reduce risk of injury. His 3-run home run against the LA Dodgers in Game 6 of the '85 LCS was the pennant-clinching hit for the Cardinals, and everybody in Canada states we celebrated that for a few days because we never looked at like the Dodgers. Now, Clark's fielding never especially played a pivotal role in the '85 World Series. Umpire Don Dankinger's notorious controversial call, the wrong one, in Game 6 came from Clark's throw to Todd Rowell at first. Clark would later misplay a foul pop-up that, while not ruled an error, should have been caught. Darrell Porter later admitted that he called Clark, but hesitated at the last minute when he thought Clark had called for the catch, which Clark had not. This opened the door for the KC Royals to score 2 runs in the bottom of the ninth to win Game 6 and go out and capture the World Series in Game 7 the following night. This was Clark's, best attempt at a World Series title, and, he was out. There was no debate about that. In '87, despite a rift with St. Louis All-Star shortstop Ozzie Smith, Clark had his best season. He had 286 average, 34.5 home runs, 106 RBIs, and led the league in on-pace percentage with .459 and slugging at .597. He accomplished all this despite missing 31 games due to nagging injuries and eventually finished third in the MVP vote. Clark again led the Cardinals to the World Series that year, although an ankle injury limited him to one at-bat in the postseason. Now, Clark eventually moved away from St. Louis. He signed a 2-year contract with the Yankees prior to the '88 season. He was primarily a DH because of the presence of Don Mattingly at first. Clark enjoyed playing for manager Billy Martin, he said, but he didn't get along with Martin's successor Lou Piniella pretty well because they were similar people. At the end of the season, he requested a trade. Now, after the '88 campaign, the Yankees traded Clark to the Padres with Pat Clements for Lance McCullers, Jimmy Jones, and Stan Jefferson. Regarding his time in the American League East, he said, "I hate that damn league. Every game lasts 3.5 to 4 hours. No wonder the fans are bored over there." He played for the Padres for 2 seasons. In '90, he feuded with All-Star teammate Tony Gwynn, was widely respected by his peers and known as one of the most dedicated players in baseball. Clark called him selfish and stated that Gwynn should be swinging with runners and scoring possessions instead of bunting and protecting his batting average. No one bothers Tony Gwynn because he wins batting titles, but the Padres finish fourth or fifth every year. He said in the 2 seasons he played in the team, he finished second and fifth respectively. Now, Joe Carter, the former future Blue Jay, who played the Padres in 1990, said it just involved one great guy, and that's Tony Gwynn. And anything you want to say about Tony Gwynn is going to be news. It got all blown out of proportion. Gwynn countered, "I've been doing the same things my whole career, playing the same way. Now, why is this an issue? Because Jack Clark says it is." In early '91, leaving the Padres, Clark called Padres manager Craig Riddich a bad man. He's sneaky. He's a snake. Well, not just a snake, but a snake. Clark said to San Diego fans, sort of like what Herb Tarlick said, sail. Everything that they should cheer for, they boo for, and everything they should boo for, they cheer for. Tony's perfect for them. He just plays the whole thing up, and the towns are so stupid that they can't see. Gwynn responded with his own criticism of Clark. "Let's talk about him walking 104 times, being a number 4 hitter. Let's talk about not flying on team flights. Let's talk about him getting booted out of the games on a called strike 3. Now, when Clark returned to the American League in '81, it was the Yankees' rival, the Red Sox, for 3 years over the Padres' offer of only one. Clark served primarily as Boston DH, hitting 28 home runs his first year with the squad. After hitting only 5 home runs in a truncated '92 season, Clark was waived by Boston in February '83 and was signed to a minor league contract by the Expos during '93 spring training, which got big news in Canada, but I knew it wasn't going to last. He was released later that year without appearing in a regular season game with the Expos and retired shortly thereafter. Now, he was eventually named the manager of the River City Rascals, a New Frontier League independent minor league squad, in their inaugural season in '99. He also served as the LA Dodgers hitting coach from '01 through '03. Now, in October 2008, Clark was named manager of the Springfield Sliders of the Central Illinois Collegiate League, which merged into the Prospect League for 2009. He caught criticism for an article in the State Journal Register after missing 10 of the Sliders' 26 home games, with no telling how many road games he attended. Now, here's some other shit that went on. Clark was driven to bankruptcy in '92 by his appetite for luxury cars. According to his bankruptcy filing, he owned 18 luxury automobiles, including a U.S. $700,000 Ferrari and a Rolls Royce. Clark was trying to pay 17 car payments simultaneously, and whenever he got bored with a car, he would get rid of it and just buy another one. He ended up losing his U.S. $2.4 million home and his drag racing business because of his extravagant spending habits. Despite one of the most publicized bankruptcies in baseball, Clark reportedly got back on his feet in the late 1990s. It wasn't drugs, it was cars, so that's probably why. Now, Clark was hired as a sports talk host on St. Louis radio station WGNU in August 2013, co-hosting The King and the Ripper with longtime St. Louis radio personality Kevin the King Slatton. At least twice in the show's first week, Clark accused LA Angels slugger Albert Pujols of using performance-enhancing drugs while Pujols was with the Cardinals. Clark had said he talked to Pujols' former personal trainer and said, "I know for a fact he was using PEDs." Pujols responded by threatening Clark at WGNU with a defamation lawsuit and vehemently denied that he had ever used PEDs. The trainer added that he hadn't even talked to Clark over 10 years. Inside St. Louis Enterprises, who owned the weekly airtime through a time brokerage agreement, cut ties with Clark and Slatton after only 7 shows. On October 4, 2013, Pujols filed a lawsuit against Clark. In response, on October 14th, Clark challenged Pujols to both take polygraph tests to resolve who was telling the truth. However, on February 10, 2014, Clark apologized and retracted his accusations against Pujols, saying he had no knowledge whatsoever that Pujols ever used PEDs. During a heated discussion on air, I misspoke, Clark said in return. Pujols dropped the suit. By the way, if you think Aaron Rodgers, the Jimmy Kimmel incident is new, you're not a virgin. Jack Clark being very outspoken, and the thing is, did he do drugs? Not for me to say. But in that era, you do the math. Either he was not doing drugs or he knew teammates who were doing it. But I don't think Pujols, to my knowledge, is all involved in that craziness. So again, when Jack Clark was on his game, he was Jack. He was Jack the Ripper, and like I said, Dave Kingman was soft spoken. He was outspoken. That's the big difference here. There's very little difference in a lot of ways between Jack Clark and Kingman. When Jack Clark was on, he was a 40-120. If you know what that means, 40 home runs, 120 RBIs. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's the story of Jack Clark. If you like what we're doing with our requests part, this was a listener request. Let us know with a like, comment, subscribe, and share. Don't forget, all requests are highly appreciated and always highly considered. I know 99.9% of the players you're talking about, but a lot of people on the channel do not, so this is new for them. So if I am repeating something that you already know about, it has nothing to do with you. I'm trying to involve everybody. When you work in print journalism, you have to do background paragraphs. And what I talk about this is background paragraphs. Actually, one person from Cincinnati noted he had no idea about Joe Morgan. You know that podcast we did on the drug bus at LAX? That wasn't a drug bus. You know, that's what we want to do. We want to give something to the mature listeners and give something to new listeners, and you come back. This is a restaurant. The menu changes every day. We could have hockey, baseball. We could do obituaries, whatever. And province of New Brunswick, there's 853,000 people. I think this is the only request podcast channel. So are you making history with me? Of course you are. Damn fucking right you are, because I came up with the idea, and usually in my 41 years of journalism, I came up with ideas that were never done before because half the people were too lazy to come up with ideas. Whoever thought a sports editor could be movie and TV columnists? The same fucking category. It's all like fiction and nonfiction. That's what sports is. There's fiction and nonfiction. Thanks for listening. Bye.